Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Watch Out for AGI podcast. I'm here with Emrick. Emrick is on the other side of the world, but we were able to join to discuss the latest and greatest from AI news. Very, very busy week today to talk about. Emrick, how is everything going? It's a bit early for you.
Yeah, I'm right now in Mountain View, coming back from a conference. I had a blast to be there. A lot of AI is happening here, but I'm super good to see you today, Remy.
On my side, it's early afternoon here in Europe. I've been traveling around, but man, I missed the South by Southwest days when we were talking with all those cool AI guys, all those events that we were able to see. I can't wait until we jump into the next AI craze event. What do you have? Do you have any AI event that you would like us to go see this year?
Actually, for now, I don't have anything in the agenda. I will stay in New York for some months. But that's true. You mentioned Austin. What was nice in Austin is you had the tech bubble, but you just didn't have the tech bubble. We also met like an exec from Angel. So they also do weapons market there. So at least that's interesting because in Texas, they have a lot of different things than just tech.
Let's get into today's schedule. As you guys who come back to the pod often know, we run AI news to start. I usually cover the most recent advancements in AI. We have a deep dive into a topic that we're really passionate about. Emrick, what is our topic today?
Yeah, so as usual, we love to do that at the beginning. We will do some AI news because the world is moving so much. So we want to just do summarize what happened in the last week. And then we're going to do like a deep dive. And I think we all heard about it, is like the new Ghibli favorite of everyone, the new OpenAI image edition. Google was able to do it 1 month ago, but I think OpenAI did really well, even better. So we're going to do a deep dive and how it's impacting the world of entrepreneurs and the world of everyone and professionals and everything. I'm going to let you start with the AI updates, Remy.
So let's get right into it. Our first update comes from Google's Gemini 2.5 that was unveiled March 25th, 2025. Google launched Gemini 2.5, a new family of reasoning models designed to excel in tasks requiring logical thinking, such as math, science, and coding. The standout Gemini 2.5 Pro features a 1 million token context window. That's about 50,000 words. And it's going to be expandable to 2 million. Man, this is what Sam was talking about. The context is just going to increase as we go. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, right now, I think Google did a bet, and I think it's because it's in the core of their business. They are doing a bet of long context because the long context can allow for a ton of applications. Just think LLM for your company, and what if you could put like your work company resources in context? And basically, I think right now Google is the only ones that can afford this because they have incredible TPUs, the chips that are allowing like for maximum inference and maximum efficiency for inference. So they really have a competitive advantage for the context, and they are really trying to use it. And if their models is getting even better and it's super cheap as well, I think right now they're in a really good spot.
I've been bullish on Google. I think that if you guys haven't seen the stock drop, it's a good time to get in. I think Google is a great AI stock. People don't think of Google as an AI company. I would be interested in thinking of Google as an AI company very soon. Back on the context window, just so you guys know, I think Sonnet 3.5 was limited to something like 100,000 tokens. 200,000 tokens is our 3.7, 3.7 Max. When you run, for those who use Cursor, you run a large cursor window, you're running about 70,000 tokens. When you start, it's in the 6,000s, it gets quickly to the 20,000s, averaging around 50,000 tokens. That's for coding and sending in a massive amount of code into an LLM. So a bit of benchmarking on this Google Gemini 2.5. It scored 63.8 on SweetBench, and it beat OpenAI's O3 Mini and DeepSeek's R1, who have respectively 62.1 and 61.4, though it does trail Anthropic's Claude Chad 3.7 Sonnet with a 70.3%. It is way ahead. That's 7% above everybody. If you look at it, 63 is above OpenAI and DeepSeek by 1%, and Claude is 7 points ahead of everybody.
Yeah, Sonnet is still like the king. Like even when you're using it, you feel the difference. But at least that's great that there is competition and it's really cheap competition. Like the API of Sonnet is super expensive. The API of Gemini is super dirt cheap. So the competition is here.
I would say using Cursor, there's this, I don't know if it's a bug or some kind of optimization strategy that they have, but they turn on this auto feature where the thing routes automatically to either OpenAI or Anthropic, depending on the level of difficulty of the task. It's been super annoying. I can tell immediately when it's not an Anthropic API. I'm like, oh, it's on auto again. Let me turn that back to Anthropic. I'm just sick of this. It goes out really fast. It starts to go really fast, and it's like, what are you doing? Why are you? Yeah, it's not Claude. Some other news on some models. So we have DeepSeek R1.
I know you're mentioning DeepSeek V3. So it's a new iteration of the V3 model. So R1 is the reinforcement learning part, the reinforcement learning mechanic, but it's based on V3. And they basically released a new iteration of V3. And I don't have the benchmark under my eyes, but I heard that it's like beating O3 on a lot of benchmarks. So right now in open source, if you have a MacBook with, let's say, I don't know what is the maximum of RAM for a MacBook, but let's say a 100 gigabytes of RAM for a MacBook, you can run like an equivalent of an O3 locally. That's really powerful because you can create your own apps based on it. And what the Chinese are doing, actually, they have farms of MacBooks and they run inference on the MacBooks. So you can even create your own farm of servers by just buying a lot of MacBooks. Though I've seen that Apple is jacking up the prices like crazy on their higher end models. They are really smart.
So on other Chinese models, just to mention it, because it is a topic, we don't have a location that we prefer. Baidu has something called Ernie X1 that has some news here. Reasoning focused model, Tencent T1 reasoning model aimed for enterprise and research application. Alibaba has upgrades as well in March on reasoning models, AI agents to maintain competitiveness. Those are three models that we don't get too much news about. We don't get the news until they are a killer, and then our stock market drops. Some news on OpenAI's audio models. There were incremental updates, introduced a new audio focused model, expanding its portfolio beyond text and image generation. While specifics are limited, this aligns with a busy week of releases for OpenAI. I did see that go through. They were presenting this model sounds more natural.
Yeah. It also has emotions. You can like prompt it to have more emotions than other competitors.
Wow, it might have more emotions than some humans. While we stay on OpenAI, I would love to talk about, we're going to get into it a bit later, but there was something that was pretty notable, is the image model that came out.
This is funny because they did the news and at the beginning everyone was confused. What do you mean image generation? Are you not already doing image generation? But I think this is just the next level of image generation with like more context awareness of the previous image.
OpenAI dropped this news about a major overhaul of their image APIs. It's pretty unbelievable what we're able to do here. This is something that we saw from other wrappers, companies like Pika, Luma, that were working on image generation where you would be able to mix and match images and get a version of an image. As we can see here, there is a cat. We add a cap and a glass to the cap, and it does not modify the cat image. It just adds what's necessary. And then you can use that and change the context and just build a whole story behind it. It's wow. What? So let's just go straight into the biggest point here. Look at this, guys. What is that? That is perfect text. Text is now fixed for image generation.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
crazy.
Text is fixed. I don't know if you've seen, but also the hands. For a long time, people had like 6 fingers to their hands. It's also fixed.
It's crazy because that was the one thing that I was like, oh, great. Image generation is great, but it cannot do text. Now that's over.
I haven't read their blog post, but their blog post gives so much good use cases. Like it gave the use cases of like generating icons. That's insane for web development, actually.
It feels like that's what I was trying to say about the DeepSeek moment. The DeepSeek moment lasted very little, and now we have the OpenAI killer moment. This literally killed a bunch of use cases where you would be using a wrapper, an image wrapper. I don't know what to say, man. This looks very, very clean. Very, very clean. I don't know what the limits are here to how clean you can get your posters and social media images, but this is very promising.
And you know, Remy, I have to say, in terms of marketing and the release, they did something brilliant. They just released the stuff. They just released the stuff immediately without like trying to hype it up for months. A bit like what they did with Sora. With Sora, they showed it like 1 year before. It was like really nice. And then they released it 1 year after. Here, they did not hype it up. They just released it. And people went crazy with it.
And well, it will bring us to our studio. What is it called again? Studio Ghibli or something like that? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. So you have this Japanese anime that is, the studio is called Ghibli, and it went crazy on Twitter, like specifically Twitter. Like everyone nowadays has a Ghibli avatar. It's because they really were able to reproduce the style of Ghibli. You just pass an image, let's say like an image of you, and it will reproduce Ghibli perfectly. Like if you've seen movies from this Japanese studio, you would recognize it immediately, and it's really well done for all type of images. So that's why it went viral.
Well, let's get into that a bit later. So let's go back to some quick news. Mistral came out with small 3.1 release. The French AI firm launched 3.1, small 3.1, a compact yet powerful model optimized for efficiency. It is designed for edge devices and competes with lightweight models such as Google Gemma series, gaining traction among developers for its open source accessibility. Some news on Anthropic. Anthropic came out with a Max version of Sonnet. Have you tried that one, Emrick?
No, I haven't actually. I heard that they have just, it's the same as 3.7 but with more context. Did you try it yourself, like specifically in Cursor?
I did. It feels like a 4.5 in the way that it costs a bit. I did one agentic flow with it. It said it is 5 cents per request, and it ended up costing me 65 cents for one implementation. I read somewhere on Reddit that it's a scam. It's literally the same thing. It's the same thing, just more costly. Not seeing much of a difference. On my side, there's the same thing. I don't know when to use that and not another. Maybe when you have a massive context that you want to send through. I don't have the need for a massive context, to be honest.
I think it's a little bit like the 200 OpenAI subscription. It is specifically addressed for power users, people that really need the extra. And most of the time you don't when you're vibe coding.
Just a quick update on Anthropic's Claude. There was also the release of web search capabilities, came in pretty late, as we did go over that in one of our previous podcasts. Actually, our last podcast where we were talking about search capabilities. Claude was not available yet. Now you can do web search with Claude. I think that if your LLM does not have web search capability today, you are behind. You need to have that. I think Mistral, OpenAI, Anthropic, Perplexity, of course, by definition, Google, of course, everybody has it. That's a bit late to the game, but I guess
Better late than never.
Yeah, I think that they just didn't see utility for it, and then they said, okay, the industry has defined that that's the norm, so let's go with it. Google's Gemma 3 came for agentic AI on March 25th. Alongside Gemini 2.5, Google released Gemma 3, a lightweight model tailored for agentic AI systems that act autonomously. I don't know. There's just too much going on. I have no
For
plan to
Gemma,
test this.
I want to say I like it. It's pretty interesting because it's iteration on the last Gemma 2 that was actually pretty much liked a lot by developers around the world. And specifically, this one is top 10 right now on LMRNA as a local model, and it's a local model that can run on any big graphic card, like a RTX 390, like the really popular one that you can get for cheap. It runs on it. And it's incredible that on a super small system, you can run such a smart model. So that's why it went really popular recently.
But one last interesting piece. I think a lot of people saw this on social media. NVIDIA came out with agentic and physical AI, a physical AI demonstration. You saw this Star Wars-like character that was live, walking around stage. Jensen was saying, guys, this is not a simulation. This is here. We have this movie-like character. It was pretty insane.
To be fair, I was expecting more because when he did the demo, like the android just comes to him, look at him, and then look at the public. It could have been like pre-recorded behavior. That's the problem. I'm sure the technology is nice, but the demo was a bit underwhelming.
I've seen a lot of agentic things online. I saw some guy who built a home security system where he had two AR-15s pointing at his door with a camera, able to recognize if that's an intruder or not. He put he put empty bullets in, and I mean that's a very, very dangerous experiment to do. If the one bullet was true, that would kill anybody that comes to the door. But he tried it on himself. It recognized that he was not an intruder. The live decision making and the trust in AI systems is here for some people today. I'm pretty sure that was not pre-recorded, that, it was pretty simple to get a working agentic physical AI to walk around. Well, that wraps up the AI news for this week. That was a lot. There's a lot that I would love to uncover a bit more, but we are going to talk a bit more about OpenAI's image right here in our deep dive. Take it away, Emrick.
Yeah, so, okay, generating images exists. We already talked about it in the previous podcast. Midjourney really led the way for long, and you could generate a ton of super high fidelity image. And if you were really good at prompting, you could generate exactly the image you want for this specific resource you want. You can say, let's say you are doing a newsletter and you want an image that is presenting your concept. You are doing a presentation and you want to add something to your slide. Yes, you generate it. It became better, but you always had to one-shot your prompt every time. So let's say you clearly want this person under the rain with a yellow chair. It took you you had to retry your prompt every time. And now, so it was like something that was introduced 1 month ago by Google. So the chat and the inference engine was able to get in the context the image. And by getting in the context the image, so I guess they are tokenizing the image, you were able to prompt about this tokenized image and then modify it immediately. And what it allows for consistency. So now you can, as an example, do for kids an image like a story. a storyboard with the same character doing a bunch of stuff. And this consistency is actually way more amazing than it sounds, because it's not about just doing storyboards. You can start doing something like Photoshop on an image. And basically OpenAI released it, I don't know now, it was yesterday or 2 days ago. And it just improved incrementally over what Google did 1 month ago. And it's really well done. Now you can clearly put a filter that will give like a style of an image, but it's not just a filter that is like, it's not a LoRa. I mean, it's not just one filter that can be applied to all the images. The LoRa can be done for everything. You can apply every style to the image. You can add, I don't know, something in the hand of a character. You can add glasses to a character. So we are becoming in a world where Photoshop starts to be slowly even more like useless. You can do all the modification you want by just natural language. Do you have some use cases, Remy, where you would be using these features?
You're talking about where I'd be using Photoshop still, or where I'd be using this feature?
Yeah, this feature.
I would say it's a question of trust, because everything that you would be doing with Photoshop will eventually be erased, and you would be doing it with this. I would say, what is my biggest Photoshop usage in my life? I'm just going to be an honest guy here. Forging documents. You need a document to say something else than what it says for some stupid sports association that needs some date that you are able to do
Absolutely,
sports,
yeah.
whatever the heck. And you're like, going to see the doctor will cost me $100 just to get this damn thing signed. Or just going to the doctor is going to take me an hour of my day. I just prefer staying inside. It's raining. So you change the dates, you copy a font, you copy a number, and you paste it over, blah, blah, blah. That is my main usage.
I see. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that today I would feel confident enough that for AI to modify my image in a one-shot way. I would be more in the hybrid version where, okay, I need to copy this part of the text and paste it there, and just manually make sure that this AI is not creating any inconsistencies in other areas of the image. It's kind of like when you run code through an AI and it kind of everything's good, but then it modifies like one variable in some random function somewhere. No, I need to know that you're only touching this part of the code. You need to have that manual feel to it in order to have full trust in these AI
Yeah.
systems.
But that was the problem with previous AI systems. Like, it would not keep the consistency and it would really struggle to follow your instructions. Right now, the instruction following is becoming legendary. Like, you really...
Yes, but
Yeah.
in this case that I'm telling you, can you tell me for sure that OpenAI will not modify the pixel at the bottom right of the PDF
Absolutely.
form, and just at a level of pixel 1000 Y to 1050 Y and XX? So that little square, I need that to be modified, not the whole thing. Can you sign off a document knowing that, just sending it through and just trusting that it doesn't touch all the other pixels?
I mean, you're absolutely right. But it's funny because we can draw a parallel with vibe coding. Do you think the vibe coding that you ask for cursor is actually doing 100% what you want? 100% the pattern that you want? Not really. And I think I saw, I was driving in SF on the highway to go to SF, and I saw this advertisement. I swear it was an advertisement for the company Craftful, and they had a Ghibli advertisement. Like the fucking day after the OpenAI model went out, they already published a Ghibli advertisement. I don't know, but the time to create a visual to put it as an advertisement is insane. It took them like 1 day. If you ask like a creative to do it, because the creative really wants to focus on the pixel peeping, of course it would take more time, but like the same way you can do vibe coding, you now theoretically can go and do vibe marketing I know it sounds bullshit and I hate the word using vibe plus something, but I'm sure it's actually life-changing for the creatives.
Man, that brings me back into, when we were in Austin, we had that cool event in a Wander where they were talking about how to get impactful physical advertisement. You just put one out there, some Twitter trend comes out, and you need to be on it. You need to be the first one with it, and people will always talk about your billboard. It's really crazy how you have a social boost to a physical advertisement. Having just a physical advertisement is okay. It's your basis. But do you want that one to rock? Do you want that one to have massive impact? Then you need to have some social aspect where you're following some kind of Twitter trend, I find that to be super cool. And that's what SF is all about.
Yeah, you're mentioning the billboards. One of the examples they were giving was Mercedes doing a pre-release and taking all the billboards of Times Square. And in the end, in Times Square, maybe you had like 1,000 people that saw the advertisement for the time being. But what was actually impactful was taking a video of the billboard and then sharing it on the social medias to show like, wow, this is a physical, real thing. It's the same for the billboard I just mentioned. It's now on Twitter. They are sharing it everywhere. It's like just funny to be able to say that your Twitter inside joke has been physical at some point. So it's just like increase the signal of your advertisement. I underestimated for long physical billboards.
Yeah. Anyway, going back to the Photoshop thing, I'm not there yet. Let's wait to see how. I just need to see the tech and how it works in order to use it. Cursor, I tried it, I saw it. Good thing we have Git, right? Man, just a word on vibe coding and Git and yeah, I told you about this, Emrick. Very troubling. As vibe coding becomes more popular and people think that, hey, anybody can just be a pilot for a Boeing plane. I can do it as well. It's autopilot. And so I saw some comments on Reddit that were like, oh my goodness. This guy said, I literally put one prompt in and I nuked my whole project and I can't get back to it. I don't understand how they don't have why don't they put a button that restores where you were before, like an undo button? It's like, dude, and everybody roasted him in the comments. It's like, you shouldn't be here, dude. Like, go back to vibe marketing or something. Go get back on the sales call.
It's also because I think some platforms are more addressed to certain customers, and Cursor is more for like developers that want to empower themselves. And I think that person would have probably preferred getting to another platform like Lovable or Bolt. And I think Lovable and Bolt like also includes the Git experience in their all-in full stack creation experience. I just think he was using the wrong tool for his task.
No, he was just vibe coding, but he had no idea that there's actual files that are created. And, if you have something in production and you're not using Git, I mean, I don't even know how you would do that today. You could probably do FTP server, just throw your project onto some kind of server and just run it and then nuke it. And then all your users are like, why is your site down? because I can't get back to the state. That would be a funny one. I don't even think that's possible today. You can't really do much without Git. It's gaining a lot of traction. A lot of people think that they can make tons of money just by jumping in. I think that the gap will just grow. For experienced developers become gods, and the people just getting in become just stay out of it. You can't compete with the gods. If you have like a real software engineer mentality coming to these tools, you literally you're unstoppable. You'll spend. I put a tweet on my Twitter: vibe coding and vibe debugging. You have that dude that's like dying.
Yeah, the vibe coding is fun. The vibe debugging is not. Yeah, absolutely.
If you know how to structure your project and not make idiotic choices and idiotic prompts, you don't need to do much vibe debugging, but I can swear to you guys that vibe debugging, it's super painful. And, sometimes you have to admit to yourself that just looking at the code that you're trying to debug and just doing it manually might save 3 hours and $20 of Anthropic credits. Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you're mentioning vibe coding. I want to go back to the tweet of Andrew Carpati. So he was talking about vibe coding and like letting yourself going into the LLM, creating your code. But he's also mentioned something, he's also mentioning like talking. So in this original tweet, he talks about, I think it's whisper something. It's a way to talk to your LLM. So he had this full feature where he had the voice, and the voice then talked to cursor, and then you have the agent mode. And so I wanted to say about vibe coding that it can also be applied to this new AI image generation. So just imagine you are creative, and instead of having your Photoshop open, you just have an image in front of you. And then you have something that is just taking your voice and getting instructions to ChatGPT. It would automatically you talking with the image. So you have this image of, I don't know, this apartment, and you're saying, I would prefer to have the couch being on leather, and I would prefer the wall to be yellow. What I'm talking here is about the UX. You don't even need anymore like a software to edit your image. You could just have a voice. And if you looked at the science fiction, specifically in the 2000 years, everything was about just talking to a voice to actually have the UX change in front of you. And this is super inspiring because I think this is possible right now. This is possible right now to have like this super setup where you just talk to your AI and it does your creative work.
I do it. You guys saw it a bit in our cursor demo. I started doing it. I do it sometimes. When I want to make long prompts, it is easier for me to say things because I get lazy with my fingers. But there's also talk that text will disappear sometime soon. Text is not the fastest way to get information across. Elon Musk is talking about Neuralink and just...
No, I heard Mark Zuckerberg talking about it, like super casually in a podcast. Says, "Yeah, you can use like a neural interface to talk to your computer." No, aren't you doing it? They are actually working on it. Yeah.
That would be the easiest way to get information from one person to another without even talking. You could just look at the machine and think about it. That's kind of far out. The fastest way today would be to speak and develop fast speaking methods. And then, the language that you decide to use, there are languages where you can get information out faster than other languages. I think French is one of the least effective ones. No, it's true. It's not degrading to say that. It's more about that you need more words to say one thing because of the fluff that is all around it, and the way it's a very expressive language, where I think on the other side, Vietnamese is something that's a lot more direct on the other side of the spectrum. It'd be funny to see the spike of Vietnamese coders that are able to code faster than French people who are just speaking to their LLMs. That would be funny. Actually, another one that's actually interesting is, I don't know if you saw this, Emrick, this viral video that came out of 2 AI agents that started to talk to each other.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
They kind of detect that they're not talking to a human, and they say, hey, do you want to talk in agentic language? The guy says, let's do it. And so he starts to send beeps out, and just very fast-paced robotic beeps. And that's probably the future of agentic communication.
Yeah, it's actually, it was done during a hackathon, and the person that created that demo was able to increase the efficiency of like communication between two voice AIs. So it's actually working. It's not like a real thing, like AI, like this demo is like set up, but behind there is a real technology. So it could happen at some point.
It's like Morse code, but it's interesting. That's a way that maybe your IoT can talk to each other in the house. It would be just beeping around, and just, you would have your AC that would talk to your dishwasher by just beeping, But I'm just wondering how fast you can get that communication to go through, how much information per second you can go without having loss. There's a reason why we do have fiber optics and bytes. It's literally the fastest way you can get things across, especially with compressing, which I don't know. You could probably compress and send out audio signal. Audio is by definition slower than light, so you're never going to beat fiber. But if it's let's say that you don't want to wire your house with Ethernet, this could be a way to communicate.
Yeah, you're just increasing the amount of modalities your models can speak between each other. It's really good for robotics. It's really good for IoT. You gave the super good example. So it's just a good thing for the future.
We went really off topic here. Would you want to jump back into our image? We haven't really talked too much about OpenAI's image. We haven't finished up on that topic. Do you want to add to that?
So I was actually, I think it was a nice transition to explain that AI here, for the most bullish CEOs of the Valley, is not anymore just like a technology, but you can use AI as a platform. So web was the biggest revolution of the year 2000s. And then mobile was the biggest revolution of the year 2010s. And I think there is a world where AI becomes the UX revolution of the year 2030. Because less and less the classical UX of you using a mouse and clicking on an interface the same way you were doing it with Photoshop is disappearing. And in the end, I think this model allows incrementally to get rid of the UX of previously. And so what OpenAI is bringing specifically is just in the revolution of the UX and making easy for so much people to do something that was so hard to do before. And that's pretty much here like a message of bigger optimism that maybe we are getting to AI as a platform way faster than we could have imagined it even 2 years ago.
This upgrade to OpenAI's image model is a killer to a lot of low-end social media people. It's a massive bump. It's going to be a wake-up call to a lot of people doing very average work. I like to say that AI is eliminating layer by layer the bad quality stuff that's out there concerning software, concerning content. It's bringing the bar up and killing anybody who's below the bar, including software engineers, including taxi drivers, social media, podcasters. Like that's part of the content side of things. Even at your job, let's say that you're only useful because... So yeah, actually thinking about it, I got on a call with a sales guy from a SaaS company. The guy called me and he said, "Hey, I just want to understand a bit about your business. Can I ask a few questions?" Okay, so how many people are there? Yeah. And oh yeah, that's all I need. Just feel free to text me. It's like, my mind right now is like, you still exist. Like he probably has other responsibilities, but like the water is coming up, man. You need to find another job. You're gonna get removed very, very fast. The tide is coming up. If you were a junior software engineer, you need to quickly become senior. Otherwise, the budget's not gonna. You're not gonna be covered. I was saying this in one of our first podcasts. I would rather hire an engineer costing $200,000 with a budget of $30K annual to run LLMs, rather than to have a 200,000 engineer and a 100,000 junior engineer. If we don't know where the project is going, if I don't need a replacement of the senior when he retires or whatever, I'm just going to go with the AI. So if you're a junior, just level up. If you're a taxi driver, I don't know.
And personally, I'm listening to you, and yes, I think there's a bunch of like crappy jobs, but also crappy startups that are getting erased with the release of OpenAI. But I think you can also see it as a way to spark creativity. I stumbled upon that startup that was trying to do a Twitter that was leveraging LoRa's to automatically personalize with your personality and your image all the posts that you were doing on Twitter. And they were struggling with all the LoRa's and like all the infrastructure work to make work actually, like making customized an image. And technically it was a huge difficulty. And OpenAI made it technically super easy. You just call an API. And I'm sure if OpenAI does it, like other companies will do it and it will improve incrementally. So yes, you are removing previous problems, but you are creating new solutions. So I think it's actually sparking creativity. If you are creative, if you're not, like the person that called you, it's not good news for him.
When we talk about AI in this way and we start to project the future, we usually put a lot of emotion into it, and we usually bring ourselves in, and then our opinion gets biased. I'm scared. Take that out. Yes, you're scared for your personal situation, but it is a fact that the bar will be higher for everything, including infrastructure. There was just an earthquake that happened in Myanmar today, and I saw a building collapse and whatever. It's very, very frightening for these people that live there. You know, I did spend a lot of time in Mexico myself. I saw how they build buildings there. You know, Mexico themselves, they're in a earthquake area. The way you build a building in Mexico and the safety measures and everything, and it's not, when you go to America, you see everything is it's just higher grade. There are less corners that are cut, etc. The know-how, you know. Well, AI is going to give everybody that minimum, because the minimum is the highest. It's going to be the highest for everybody all the time, the newest and greatest ways. So when I look at something that happened in Myanmar where these buildings are collapsing, I'm just thinking, let's just put our personal egos aside about being scared about losing our job. Let's just think about the number of buildings that will stay up, the number of high quality AC units that will filter pollution, and it will be done at a very, very low cost that will save a lot of people in these regions. You know, let's just take our personal dollar aside and just think about how life will actually become. Just the comfort level will just skyrocket in the next 5-10 years. And yes, people like us are going to make a lot of money because we're going to actually help people with this stuff. We're going to bring it in. I'm super excited about how AI is impacting the world. Really, not yes, I will make a lot of money with this, but as well, the impact is just very, very motivating.
Yeah, I think it summarizes, like, if we can leave a message out of this podcast, at least today, we are in a golden age of building, and I think it has never been a best time to build. So I would encourage everyone that is listening to find ways to build stuff and to create stuff. It will compound on your life really fast.
You'll be able to help a lot of people as well and have fun. We usually end these podcasts with these like big philosophical thoughts, whatever. Like for the few people who listen to us that actually like this, it's very, very cool for me to talk about this stuff. That brings our episode to a full stop. We went strong, juicy one. One of my favorites actually to talk about. Well, we will be back next week with more AI news, another demo, some interesting stuff coming next week. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you in 1 week.